Hello, hello, welcome everybody. Sorry for the late entry. I hope we didn't lose anybody. I'm sure they will pop back in. I am Jennifer. I'm your host facilitator with Whole Foods Co-op. It's my pleasure to offer this free virtual class to you. This has been one of multiple in a series. So if you are just joining us this evening, there have been multiple classes aside from this one. But we do have all of those recorded. So I will eventually put my email address in the chat. And if you're interested in receiving those previous class recordings, I can get those emailed out to you sometime tomorrow, maybe Thursday. We'll see what happens with my schedule. But it's nice to see so many people joining this evening. If you have any issues with your audio or visual, feel free to leave the class, come back in. That usually does the trick. I'll be here throughout the class to make sure that people are getting admitted. So don't worry if it happens, even 5/10 of the way through. Well, I guess halfway through. So again, I'm Jennifer. With me is Stacy Quaid, who is our instructor. Stacy has a ton of awesome information and is extremely knowledgeable. At one point here, I will also put in Stacy's email address so that you all can reach out to her directly if there are questions that you have. And I believe, Stacy, we only have one more class after this, correct?
Right, yes.
That's incredible. And so our hope is to offer this class again in the future in person, because there's a lot of things that Stacy can impart, but it's easier to do when everybody is together. But for our co-op here in Duluth, Minnesota, we're not going to be able to offer in-person classes until the fall. So don't look for that in the next Spring Gazette. So we'll get going here in just another minute or two. I still have folks that are joining in. I want to make sure that they can start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Here we go. So again, I'm Jennifer, the host facilitator. I'm with Whole Foods Co-op in Duluth, Minnesota. And it's our pleasure to offer free virtual classes throughout this pandemic. And we've had a couple setbacks as far as opening up our classroom, but our goal is to open up again for in-person learning in the fall, and hopefully with a virtual element. So we'll have people in the classroom, and then we'll also have it recorded and offered to folks who have gotten used to this virtual classroom, which would be great. So I'm currently having everybody be muted. That's just to preserve our bandwidth so there isn't any distractions like, ringing telephones or dogs barking. However, if you have questions, open up your chat, add it to the chat. That would be wonderful. Hi, Sherry in beautiful Western Massachusetts. That's wonderful. And Maggie is happy to hear that in-person classes are coming back. We've got Elaine from Toronto, Ontario. Fantastic. And Maggie in Florida. We're in northern Minnesota where we're finally getting some spring weather, but it's so rainy.
It has been so wet.
So wet. And yeah, we're planning on a grad party here in just a couple of weeks. And yeah, I can't get out to mow, which I wouldn't be mowing because it's no mow May. Mm-hmm. But tomorrow I could mow if it weren't so wet. So there's that. Angel is joining us from Kentucky. Welcome. I think you might be our first Kentuckian. That's incredible. We've got Guadalupe from San Antonio. That's awesome. See, this is the fun thing about the virtual classes. We get people joining us internationally sometimes, like Ontario. So it's really incredible to have all of these people joining from so many areas to learn everything from Stacy. And yeah, it's incredible. I just love it. So again, just another minute or two because we still have some folks joining. And then at that point, I will put in my email address. So if you haven't had the earlier classes that we offered, I will send all of those recordings to you. They're in a couple different formats. Some are YouTube classes, some are from Stacy's recordings. So we will get that figured out, but we have them all. So that's good, including this one. Yes, we have Shara from the United Kingdom. Leicester, I want to say, is that how you pronounce it? Let me know if I got that wrong. All right. Just a few more minutes. We have some folks joining still. And again, if you have any trouble with your audio visual, leave the class, come back. I will let you back in, and hopefully that will fix all the problems. And if it doesn't, my email address, I'll just tell you right now, jgilbertson, so GILBERTSON at wholefoods.coop. Might as well just throw it in now. And please don't put your email address in the chat, because there's so many other moving parts. I'm not going to be able to get to it. So please jot down my email address or copy and save it, and then send me an email so that I can send it to you. It's just a lot more efficient that way. So Stacy, welcome to Stacy Quaid, who is our instructor, super knowledgeable in all things herbalism and holistic medicines. So I'm going to go ahead and let Stacy take it away. Enjoy the class, everybody.
Hi. Wow, what a great week it's been. I was gone last week for the whole week to the Midwest Women's Herbal Conference, and it was amazing. So if you have never been to an herbal conference, going to a women's conference had a completely different feel than any of the other conferences I've been to with that were co-ed or family based. So it was really quite an expanding and life changing experience. So I strongly recommend that you check that out if you ever have the opportunity. So tonight, what I was hoping to do was to get us outside finally and do a little virtual weed walk out in the yard. However, as Jennifer mentioned, it's been really, really wet. So it's very, very soggy and standing water in a lot of my garden space. And also it's really super windy here today. And I did a trial run earlier with my microphone and headset, and it was just so windy that it just interfered with the sound so much. So we had to pivot, which is a good thing, because it's really feeling like it's bringing some of the essence of what I experienced at the Women's Herbal to this class. And I was saving this class actually for next month, which is going to be our last class in the series. And I wanted to circle back around to something that we talked about in the very first class about how to communicate with the plants, how to respectfully talk with them, engage with them when you're out foraging, picking, planting, growing, making your medicines. So I want to talk today about plant spirit energy and plant spirit medicine. And we've got a couple of things that we're going to do. So it's going to be a little more interactive for you this time, and I want some sharing to happen after we get through what we're going to do. So I'm hoping that will feel good to everybody. The first thing I want to do is talk to you a little bit about the energy that we are all made out of. We communicate energetically before we communicate with our mouths or our body language or any of the other physical things that we use to make our presence known in the world. And that is how we can get to a deeper level of connection with the plants. And when you take the time to connect and get centered before, during, and after when you're working with your plants, you're going to have a much more deeper, meaningful experience. You're going to have better medicine, and you're going to be gathering things in the right way and the way that my teachers have taught me how to gather plants and work with the plant kingdom and Mother Earth. So I wanted to I've got a few books to show you, some good references that you might want to check out to get more information and perspective in this area. But first of all, I'm going to read a little excerpt from this book by Ted Andrews called Animal Speak. And this is a lot about animal totems and signs in nature that have to do more with the fauna, with the animal kingdom, but that's part and integrated into what we do as herbalists. We're looking for messages, and a lot of the herbs, when you're looking at Native American traditions and how they identify medicines, they're looking at deer medicines and bear medicine and turtle medicine, depending on the different kind of plant. So this does have just a little bit to do about relationship. And it says for any relationship to work, there must be 3 elements: silence, respect, and sharing. Relationships teach us silence. Silence enables us to listen and experience the relationship as it truly is. It enables us to know when to speak and act for the greatest benefit. Relationships also teach us respect for others' lives, to only take that what is truly needed. Relationships also teach us sharing. They teach us how we can best live in the world with one another. So this is a really great reference if you like to look up animal science and things that come to you in that way. Some other books that talk about the energetic connection with the herb kingdom and the plant world and the earth are this one by Stephen Harold Bruner. Maybe some of you have heard of this. It's called The Lost Language of Plants. And it's kind of a dense read, but it's really packed with lots of really cool information and story. One of my very favorite first books I ever read about plant spirit medicine is called Plant Spirit Medicine. And it's by an author named Elliot Cohen. And this is it's got all kinds of really personal stories of his, how he was engaging and getting messages from nature. This is a newer book that's just been out a couple of years. It's called The Language of Plants by Julia Gray. And it is a really, really good book as well. When we are working to connect and try and find that place of center to get into this energetic interface, being able to hear it and feel it and notice it with more clarity, we need to be connected into the earth. And this book called Earthing is a really good book to think about to learn more about that. Earthing's kind of a pretty popular buzz topic nowadays, so you may have already heard of it. Maybe you already have a grounding mat of your own, but just getting out into nature and being on the ground without things like rubber-soled shoes in between you and the earth really can make a difference in how you feel with your personal vibration and groundedness. So those are just a few references for you to think about. Now, I wanted to talk about listening to the plants. And I have a screen share for you. This is actually a recording of plants singing. This is really pretty cool. And let's see, play button. Where did it go? Oop, we'll try that again. Let's see. We'll try that again. I did a version of this class that we're doing right now at the Great Lakes Herb Fair about 6 or 7 years ago, with a little bit different flow. But I played this video, and one of the other teachers went out and got herself this biofeedback machine so that she could make her own plant music with it. And she brought it to, she makes CDs now with this plant music. I can find the play button. That would be really nice. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this.
Stacy, down at the very bottom of your screen, the play button's down there.
Well, it covers up with the
Oh,
it's covering up. Can you hit the play button if I pull this up?
I don't think I can.
Here. I can play from here. There we go. Can you hear it?
I cannot. I think sometimes when you have to share the screen, you also have to tell it to share the sound.
I did, but it's not seeming to. Let me try it again.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait for a request.
Does that work?
There is an electrode here in connection.
Yes.
to the leaves.
Okay.
I changed the position of the electrode. And another electrode is in contact with the roots.
We're just going to watch a few minutes
So
of
the
this. So I want you to
sound
just kind of listen
that
and
can
see
be
what happens.
produced
It's really
by the
neat.
plant is by creating a difference of potential, of electric potential. And now she's going into the, yeah. She's creating the signal that is making the music now. It is the plant changing the notes, the melody, the rhythm.
Okay. So that goes on. For quite some time. And there's all kinds of other really cool plant singing, plant communication videos on YouTube that, if that calls to you, it's really kind of a great way to add to your meditations, to just get into the noticing of if that's the vibration that and when they're hooked up to something that we can hear with our ears, how do we find a way to hear that when we're sensing it with our energy, or we're listening with a different part of our being? So I've got a helper waiting around the corner here, to show you one of the ways that that happens. So some of you might recognize this helper from some of our classes. This is Joseph, my husband. And what I have here to show you is something called an energy stick. And this is a tool that I use when I teach my healing touch classes, because it gives us a really good visual of how the frequencies in our body can work to connect us with each other. This tool is, it creates a circuit with just one of the frequencies that runs through our human body. And when you hang on to both ends, it creates a loop and it makes the connection. And I wanted to show you just how easy it is to connect energetically to somebody else with this one frequency. Joseph's going to hang on to the other end of the stick. And when we touch our other hands and create that loop, it fires the circuit. Now, we could make this happen with any number of people, and we'll stand in a circle and hold hands with each other. And two people across the way will let go, and the circuit will not work anymore. And this is a very simplified version, thank you, honey, of looking at one of the frequencies in our body, but we have many, many, many layers, just like the layers of the tones that were coming out of that plant. And when you're outside and you're sitting with nature and individual entities in nature, or you're going to gather, you can connect and listen and feel, and you will get messages and imaginings and ideas and intuitions that are going to help you be more communicative and listen more to our plant elders and the teachers that they are. And you'll be able to use them more fully with yourself, with your family, with your clients. And it's really, really, it's a piece that you can't leave out if you're going to be an ethical practicing herbalist. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do a meditation. We're going to do a guided meditation, and we're going to see if you can connect to a plant energy, maybe one of your plant spirit helpers. And so what I'd like you to do right now is just settle into your chairs or wherever you are, whatever surface you're sitting on. And I want you to just start taking some nice, slow, deep breaths. And with every breath in and every breath out, you're going to feel your body starting to just relax a little bit, getting rid of the busyness of the day and getting here, starting to get a little bit more centered and calm on the inside, beginning to just feel a little more open and soft as you allow and invite this experience into your being. And we're going to start with a dedication to all the green, growing, flowering ones of this beautiful planet, who embody the universal creative healing energy. And with each moment, humbly assume the grand task of transforming light into life, and who patiently bear the crude assaults and insults of our misguided ignorance, all in the dream of awakening. Without their consciousness, living presence, nothing, no breath, no food, no life, no delight. None of our early endeavors would be possible. As we breathe deeply and hold that gratitude in our hearts, bring your awareness down into the center of your abdomen, into the very center core of your body. Notice, if you can, a small spark of light right in the very center of your middle. As you breathe, you notice that spark of light, it gets brighter, just like when you breathe on the embers of a fire. And with every breath in, it becomes brighter and expands out through your abdomen. With every breath out, you notice it's starting to change. And little tendrils of light, just like little tendrils of roots that come out of a freshly cracked seed as it's growing into the ground, start to uncurl. And with every breath, those roots become brighter and thicker and stronger. And you start to feel that light going down through your legs, down past your feet, and down through the floor and the building that you're in, and into the earth. And with every breath, those roots become stronger and they go deeper as you plant yourself as deep as you can try to do today into the center of the earth. How far can you feel your roots traveling down into the ground where the Mother Earth's energy rises to meet you? Just like an artesian well that never dries out, that unconditional vibration of love and light comes bubbling up to meet your roots, fills them up, and moves up easily and quickly to fill up into the soles of your feet. You feel it moving up into your legs and through your body. You feel it rising and swishing and expanding through your abdomen. You feel it filling every cell that it passes, expanding through you. You soak it up like a sponge, feeling your deep connection to the earth, feeling it flowing through you, up through your whole body, out your arms and hands and fingertips, through your head, clearing, opening, relaxing your mind. Out the top of your head, it flows up like a gushing fountain and pours down around you like a waterfall of glittering, iridescent light, puddling around your feet and moving you back into the earth again. This constant flow. In your mind's eye, from this centered place, this gratitude of our heart, visualize yourself wherever you are, getting up from your chair and walking to the entrance of your house as if to go outside. And when you open the door, you're surprised to see that your usual view is not there right now. And when you look out from your door, you see a winding path, and is winding its way through a beautiful garden. There's no waiting. You just step right out onto this beautiful golden path and make your way as it winds down and around in a beautiful back and forth waying through these pretty spring flowers, colors all around, purple, pink, some yellows, bright, vivid greens, delicate little baby plants popping up everywhere. And it smells delightful and fresh. And the sun is shining on your head and it's so warm. The perfect temperature. You notice that the path is taking you to the edge of a woods. And as you step from the edge of the garden and into the dappled light, the green light dappled cool air meets your face, and you feel that change in that soothing, and it's calming, and it's cool, but not too cool. And as you stroll along the path through these cool green woods, you're listening. What sounds do you hear? The birds, the leaves in the wind? Who are you hearing? The path makes its way into a little clearing. Just enough sunshine to make it a warm place to sit. And you notice there's a perfect place for just you to sit, but room for one more. And when you get yourself settled in your place to sit, it's so comfortable. Then you close your eyes and you listen. Soon you notice someone has joined you next to where you're sitting. Who has come to join you in this clearing in the woods? What shape? Is it a tall being? A short being? Is it prickly or smooth? Does it have fragrance? Is there a sound? Maybe you reach out and you feel something in your hand. Is there a color that comes to mind? As you're noticing, just take some time, just a few minutes, to listen for a message, get a sense, be relaxed and be open to anything that seems to come through. Listen to the whispers. We're going to take just a couple more minutes to finish our interaction with our spirit guide today. If you have any questions to ask about how they can help you, now is a good time. You notice that the light has changed in the clearing. It's been much longer than you felt like it had been. You bid your friend goodbye, or maybe not goodbye, but see you next time. And you get up and you make your way back out of the woods, up the path, winding your way through that dappled green light, through the beautiful, colorful garden, back into the door of your living space, and back to your chair, and back to this group. And when you're ready, I would really like people to put their video cameras on and can stay muted until you have a share, if you want to share your experience. And let's do some talking.
Hi, I'm Arlanda. Sorry, I've been having trouble with my phone. I'm new. I took one of your classes a couple months ago. I've been super busy. I'm so thankful for your information and your patience. I'm just here to learn. So, yeah.
Did you get a chance to do the meditation? I saw you popped in a little later.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
Did you get a chance to do the meditation? I saw you popped in a little late.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Oh,
No,
well,
I
it's
came in
going to
at
be
the
recorded.
end.
It's recorded, so you'll get a chance to do it if you'd like.
Yes, I would. It sounded very interesting. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share?
I'll share. I went for a walk through my property, and just visualizing the plants that we have, the herbs that we have, and I invited them for conversation. I'm like, who like to connect with me is the way I approached it. And I was visualizing the elderberry and the papaya, just the different plants and the sunflowers. And I connected with the oak trees, the mighty oak trees. And that was really interesting because I kind of, I was basically thinking about the plants that, we either planted as seeds or, we've acquired through, purchasing them or planting them and growing them in the yard. And it was the mighty oak tree that was here before we were, that I made the connection with. And as you took us through the meditation and then going down deep into the earth and the roots and the connection, it was just like I felt it was like very powerful, but then at the same time it was like, wow, this is really intense energy. So I remember opening my eyes like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. So but it was really, it was an interesting experience, and it was very unexpected but very nice.
Thank you for sharing.
Stacy, I kind of have an affinity to oaks too. I planted a little tiny seedling a few years ago. It's a red oak and it's like 10 or 12 feet tall now.
Oh.
And it's almost to the edge of the property, but every time I go by, I look at it and I go talk to it and I thank it for being alive. And I usually hold the stem, the trunk. I hold the trunk and like just pet it a little bit. And yeah, and then now the other day I started doing that with somebody else. So it's like, am I gonna be going around the yard and talking and petting everybody eventually?
They're all getting in line. It's like someone that can do a good neck massage. Everybody's like gets in line.
Oh,
So
cool.
Shara, I see you're unmuted.
Yeah, this is hi everyone. This is my first session that I've attended today. I've only recently started growing my own herbs in my garden, and I found it really therapeutic. I've got a number of health conditions and I've been quite unwell, but I've really found it really enjoyable being in my garden, and I found it really beneficial. So I've started looking into sort of herbal remedies and how to sort of improve my own health. And this is one of the reasons why I've sort of gone in this sort of direction. But I found doing what we just did this moment ago. And I found it really quite powerful doing the guided meditation. As we were sort of going through it, I found myself being directed into a forest. And as I went deep into the forest, I found I went into a clearing in the centre of the forest. And there was a clearing and the light was bright in the centre of the forest. And in the centre of the forest, I was greeted by a fairy. And the fairy was there and she directed me out of the forest back into the light. And it was just really strange that I was greeted by a fairy. Through the guided meditation, it was really strange. I'm not sure why.
Or maybe it's your new normal and not so strange.
No. And I've not really done guided meditation before, but I have been looking into it because I think it would be something that would be quite good for me in terms of helping me relax, and because sometimes you can be quite stressed and it's another way of sort of relaxing and finding other ways of dealing with things.
Yes.
Way.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. I found it really powerful. I really found it very, very relaxing. Thank you.
Good. Anybody else want to show us your smiling face and share what your experience was? Maybe if people are feeling a little shy and they have a question or something they want to put in the chat, that might be easier. Are there any questions in the chat so far, Jennifer? I haven't even looked.
No, but I did miss one of the book titles and authors. The one that you said was a pretty labor-intensive read.
Oh, the dense read?
The dense read, yes.
Even
I got everybody else.
I can put that in the chat. Back to I think it was Cheryl, your comment about how you look at the tree every time you go by. Every time you look at a tree or a plant or any entity in nature, it's looking back at you. They're looking at you too. If you're noticing a tree, they are noticing you. And then you can listen a little bit to see if there's something they want to share. Last language of plant. There we go. I think it's really important to exercise, if for lack of a better word, this part of connecting with the plants before you go out harvesting, as you're looking at new places that you might want to be foraging that you don't know about from other experiences or other people. Because I don't remember if I shared this story in any of our earlier classes, but a friend of mine who's an herbalist down in the Minneapolis area, Cynthia Thomas, brilliant. She tells a story of how she moved to a new place, and when she was going to work from this new place that she lived, she noticed that she was driving by this old like railroad grade, and it had like many elderberry trees growing down this. It was like an old railroad grade that they had turned into a walking path, kind of like Armanger Trail. And she was so excited. She's like, "Oh, I cannot wait for, you know, the trees to bloom and grow, and I'm going to have so many elderberries, and they're going to be, you know, I'm not even do with them." And she was excited. So the elders flowered, and she went and asked permission to pick, because you do that when you go to harvesting, and you make a offering of whatever it is that feels good to you to offer. We talked about, you know, giving tobacco or a drink of water or a piece of your hair because you're taking a piece of them, something that makes it not just taking. Sing a song. Well, she asked for permission and the tree told her no. She got a very clear, like, do not pick me. And she was like, you know, we're always like, oh, maybe I didn't hear that right. Maybe I'll just meditate a little bit more deeply and oh, you know, I wasn't connected. And she asked again and she got a really clear feeling of do not pick me. And she thought, well, maybe I'm not supposed to pick it for the flowers. Maybe I'm supposed to wait and get the berries in the fall and you're at the end of summer and so on. So every day she's driving by, she's watching them grow and she's watching them fruit and she's getting excited and she goes back when it's time to harvest the berries and she makes her offering and she says her prayer and she does her meditation and she asks for permission to pick and it says no, do not pick. And she went back another time or two, I can't remember how many times, and every time she just got a very clear like don't pick this, you know, you can't have me. So it gets to be the early part of winter, and here comes on the news that she happened to be watching one day. You know, kind of unusual for a lot of herbalists sometimes. And there was a big thing on the news about this very section, this location of this railroad grade that she was wanting to pick medicine for a big clientele that she has. And it was like yellow taped off and there they had found out that there was some toxins. It was like a Superfund site. There was barrels of poison basically in the ground underneath where these trees were growing on top. And they were telling her, this is not, I'm not well. I will not be good medicine for you. And so that is the biggest take home message that I have. That's someone else's story. But very meaningful to me. That made a huge impact on me. And when I was in my younger days, we were at a conference and I attended one of her breakout sessions and she told that story and it's always stuck with me. And I always like to share that with my students that you need to take care and know that that is real and that it really is like fundamental to doing your work. Whether you're gathering for yourself for a salad or your family or sharing it with other people. So yes, Sherry, a sounding. Yes, powerful. Yes, very, very real. If anybody else wants to share any of their, you know, sometimes when we meditate, we think, oh, I'm just making that up or I'm not hearing anything. I don't know. Try to remember that it's just the littlest impulse that comes through. That might be the message. You have to try and grasp it. Carolyn Miss says that the angels talk in homeopathy. You have to catch the whispers, and that those little hits, those little intuitive hits or thoughts can really be a something. So you can pay attention to that when you're out, just every day in your life, not just when you're trying to communicate with nature. Um, it can make a big difference in how you connect with the world around you. So well, I guess if no one else really wants to share, then we'll probably be done with class a little bit early tonight. Any of the ones of you that started to share a little bit have any more insights? Did you ask a question of your oak tree, Maggie, or did anybody get any specifics like that?
For me, I was asking the question on how I can continue to help them and protect them and spread the word of their strength. Recently, behind our property, 20 acres of the most gorgeous oak trees, majestic. They've been there for hundreds of years, were cleared out. And my daughter went out there with me, and she was like, Mom, that is so sad. And she could feel the emptiness, and it was just it was there. It brought tears to my eyes to feel her how she was impacted. And so it was interesting because I was not picturing the oak. I was picturing a sunflower in my head. I'm like, oh, let's talk to the sunflower. But it was just the oak that came through. So I'm like, how can I help? And I feel your strength. And so it was that was interesting. But I'm looking, speaking about my daughter, and this is not in any way like any promotion, or I'm not connected to the company by any way, but when Shara mentioned the fairies, I was looking to see how we could learn about plants. And one teacher, I homeschool, and she says that for her daughters, she was using the books called Herb Fairies.
Yes.
And I didn't know if you knew anything about it, if you thought what your thoughts were, but we were considering purchasing the set, just to, go ahead and include that in our curriculum. And I wanted to know what your feedback was, if you had any experience. But when Shara mentioned the fairies, I'm like, why am I hearing about fairies all week? And that's like the third or fourth person.
Those books are absolutely fabulous. They're so good. It is the greatest story. Each herb has their fairy entity, like chickweed is stellaria, and there's these. I'm not going to tell you what it is about, but I bought those books for our grandkids and like my best friend's kids when they were little, and they're just wonderful. They're a great read. And Shara, you probably still like them too. And it's from Herb Mentor. Rosalie Della Forte is the author, and Herb Mentor is their website. They have all kinds of great learning videos, classes, discussion groups. There's Kimberly Gallagher. I'm sorry, I was misspeaking. Rosalie is a good friend of the people for Herb Mentor. So they also have a board game called Wildcraft, and it's a fun game too. It's a great site. They've got all kinds of kid-friendly things, so it's a really good investment. And it will teach them about the herbs. I mean, that's the bottom line, is they learn like the uses and the medicinal properties and things about the herbs in a story way that's easy to learn.
Thank you so much for I'm glad I mentioned it. I'm glad Shara connected with fairies, because I was questioning, should I go ahead and do it and, include it in our curriculum and what we're doing here at home. And so that makes me feel better, because, it's just trying to source good information and resources regarding this area. It's new to me. I'm not, I don't know what I don't know. So, sometimes there's so much information out there. So I'm glad I mentioned it. And thank you so much for confirming what I'm going to invest in,
Yeah, you will enjoy them very much so. Yeah. And the fairies too. I mean, that whole piece about they were guiding you back. It's not my work to interpret what happened for you in your message, but maybe they were helping you to go back to that beginning learning place that you've already created for yourself, to just really start there and be there, and that's a really good place for you to be learning and safety and connecting there with the plants you're already connecting to. You are very welcome. Anybody else?
So I don't have quite the oak story that Maggie had, which is hard. It's always heartbreaking to see beautiful 100-year-old trees cut down. But the house that we lived at before we moved up to Duluth, we were in Maple Grove, Minnesota, and it had a ton of black walnut trees, which I was always kind of angry at, because, when you live in the metropolitan area, you're required to keep your lawn to a certain level of tidiness, and black walnuts have those palmated leaves. And so they're tiny little leaves, and they take forever to fall. And then you're cleaning up after everything, and then you've got the actual seeds and everything. So they're hard to keep clean. But we love them. They provided beautiful shade. Our yard looked gorgeous, and they were pretty old trees. And we went back to visit, and we drove by our old house, and we saw that the new owner had cut down 5 of them. And my kids were like, "Where are the trees? What happened to the trees?" And I said, "I don't know. I guess the owner decided they didn't want those trees." And they're like, "How do you not want trees?" So we went through our own small experience with those trees, and yeah, it's always difficult to watch something beautiful that's been growing for years and years and years and provides beneficial aspects, to see that taken away. And you're like, well, now it's just a gross, bare suburban yard.
Yeah. Yeah. We connect even when we don't realize we have been connected. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Stacy, thank you so much for tonight's class. I've never taken a growing guided meditation before. I've had guided meditations, but never one that focused on growing beings. So that was wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for your communication and taking part in tonight's class. Again, if you're interested in receiving this recording or the previous class recordings, you can please send me an email, or you can reach out to Stacy directly. So I'm Jay Gilbertson at wholefoods.coop, and Stacy is STACEY at energyforlifeconnection.com. We have one more class in this series, which is next month. It's the last Tuesday of June, sorry. And I just wanted to say thank you again for taking time out of your Tuesday to be here and to take this class. Look for more free Whole Foods Co-op virtual classes on our website, wholefoods.coop/classes, or through Eventbrite if that's how you found us initially. And everyone, take care. Have a wonderful night. And thank you again, Stacy.
Yes, thank you all. Have a good month.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You as well. And thank Joseph for being your
My
your
helper.
demonstrator. Yep. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful
Anybody
evening.
wants one of those energy sticks, you can get them at Hobby Lobby. So, and online.
Nice.
They're a good teaching tool for kids.
Very cool.
Bye. Bye all.
Bye,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
Yeah.
I see you next class.
Thank
Okay.
you, Guadalupe.
Maybe we'll see you too. Bye now.